ESPN analyst, top of his game, former NFL safety, 91-98, former NFL scout and executive working in Washington and Philly as the director of player personnel and other roles. Louis Riddick with you on The Fan now, and a good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. You guys hear me okay?
We got you.
Yeah, it sounds a little weird in my headset, but yeah, what? I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be here.
How much better is the rest of the Eagles roster after quarterback?
Better than who?
The Chiefs.
Better than the Chiefs? You know what? See, I know people want to say that there's this huge discrepancy between the two and that the difference is Andy and Patrick, but listen. Look, the Eagles are strong. Their offensive line is one of the best in football. And you see, and that's look, these guys are powerful, they're athletic, they play together. The running back position obviously is one where they have a clean sweep there. The wide receivers, they have great complements. The tight end is strong after the catch. You know, the defensive line is just ridiculous. Jalen Carter is like an Aaron Donald / Chris Jones type. He's a closer. Nolan Smith has become a great player. Milton Williams is a good player. Linebacker, I mean, Zach has been one of those like revelations.
Yeah.
What more can you say there? Quinyon Mitchell's been a stud. Cooper's been a stud. So yeah, they're good players. But if you went through the same exercise with Kansas City, look, obviously Joe Thuney moving to left tackle has kind of like weakened that unit some. The right tackle position has been a little bit of an issue. Creed Humphrey, though, is still a stud. Trey Smith is still a stud. Travis is still Travis. And you know what the cool thing about them? They're playing their best football right now. So with Hollywood coming back and being healthy, and you saw how Patrick tried to get him the ball in the championship game, that's huge. Xavier broke out just at the right time against Buffalo. That's huge. Getting Isaiah back is huge. You know, defensively, Chris is a stud. Karlaftis is a stud. Nick Bolton's a stud. Chenal's a stud. Drew Tranquil was one of their best free agent signings that they've ever had there. They got a bunch of young guys in the secondary. You may give the Eagles a slight advantage, but this is not some wide gap that Patrick has to fill in. You don't win games like they've done because it's just all Patrick and Andy. You just don't do that. Brian, you know that. Yeah. You know they're good enough.
What about the difference in coaching? Andy Reid, Sirianni, then you got Spagnuolo, Dick Fangio.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a ton of respect for Vic. They coach in different ways. They have different philosophies. Vic likes to play it top down. He likes to say, hey, look, over 13, 14, 15 plays, you're going to make a mistake because we're not going to give you one.
Right.
You're going to have to string together 5, 6 first downs, and at some point in time, you're going to mess it up. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, our defensive lineman's going to knock the ball off of you, or we're going to punch it out or something. Spags is kind of like, hey, look, we'll play a little bit of too high. We'll play some, but you know what we really want to do? We want to get you in second and long and then blitz your brains out. Mm-hmm. Then we want to, so it's a little bit more high wire for him. But that's what makes it great. There's a bunch of different ways to kind of skin a cat there. Andy's the dude.
He's the dude.
There is not a better coach in the NFL when it comes to understanding personnel. The guy's a scout at heart. Yeah. Remember, he used to run the personnel department in Philly.
Sure did.
There is no one who spends more time talking to his scouts and doing the work himself, saying, watching how defensive backs pedal, watching where defensive backs' eyes are, understanding who the linebacker is that really struggles with play action. He is a nut for that stuff, and you can best believe he knows every single guy's strengths and weaknesses on Philly's defense. I don't know if Nick does that. I don't know if Nick has that same kind of football IQ that Andy does. Obviously, you get I flew down here with a bunch of Philly fans on the flight, and I could hear people talking behind me in first class, and they're going, yeah, but Andy's so damn smart, and we think that's the advantage. Yeah. And they're like, and I'm like sitting there like going, you're right, it is the advantage because that's the dude. I mean, he just is. But in 15 kind of cancels out a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what's so intriguing about this matchup. I mean, it's. I mean, what's the line? +1 now?
1.5.
Yeah, that's why it is. I mean, because you're sitting there going, that's what you want in the Super Bowl. This is going to be a last possession game. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Louis Riddick with us here on 105.3 The Fan. You smell fantastic, by the way. I'm going to find out what this is.
You know, I think this is Jimmy Choo, man.
Okay.
You know, I'll tell you a funny story. Take 15 seconds. I have a 14-year-old son. He's a freakazoid basketball player. But the dude has become like this fiend for cologne. I'm like, what is going on? You're 14. You're 14. He's like, Dad, I know. Like, he says all these names. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell they are. Yeah. I go in his room, and I'm like, that smells good. Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get? And he's 14. But anyway, I've always
Take pride
I've
in
always,
it.
yeah.
Maybe that turns out to be a career path.
But you know what?
You never know.
This guy, like, I'm 14. I know he's not listening. He's playing a game right now. But, man, like his Cologne game puts mine to shame. Anyway.
So we were just talking. You've had interviews for front office positions. Obviously, we're the home of the Dallas Cowboys. That front office is not changing. I believe a lot in Will McClay.
Yep.
But having been a part of these interviews, I mean, from the outside looking in, what is it about the Cowboys? Everyone says they beat to their own drum.
Yeah.
But it's just it hasn't clicked, and they're unwilling to kind of change, and it's been the same thing for 30 years.
Look, Brian can tell you this. Sometimes when you've always been used to doing things a certain way and you keep things very consistent in terms of the people who are ultimately giving the decision-maker input, you don't really get different perspective, right? Jerry's probably very used to the people talking to him that talk to him right now. They've been talking to him for a long time. And then what winds up happening is you kind of fall into a trap too. Like you want to make the boss happy. You know, you kind of know where he's leaning. Sometimes you maybe it alters your own evaluation of a player because well, the boss doesn't really want him. He probably likes this guy. He would like this guy more. And what happens is you just kind of wind up having this very stale, static way of looking at team building that really doesn't give any other viewpoints. And look, I think for Dallas, on the defensive side of the ball in particular, right, there's been too many moments where you have seen the deficiencies on that side of the ball when it comes to teams who ultimately can just line up and bully you. That has been an issue for them for years now. And so you have to correct that. You have to get that corrected. You have to be able to make sure, at one point in time, the Dallas Cowboys that I played against in the early 90s had an offensive line that was like Phillies. That they said, look, we can run 3 plays against you, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing. Because you know what? Here comes Eric Williams. Here comes Mark Stepnoski. Here comes Lally Allen. Here comes, and we're going to run that damn outside zone downhill on that big crown in Old Texas Stadium, and here comes Emmitt. They don't have that component to their football team anymore. And I think, in December and January football, you have to be able to be that. At some point, it has to be about that. It just does. Think about the Patriots dynasty. At their heart, they were a bully, tough, hard-nosed football team. When's the last time you've thought of Dallas as being a bully-like, tough, hard-nosed football team? Philly can play that way. Kansas City can play that way. Andy Reid, for as much as he is considered an offensive genius and a play-calling wizard, the dude runs the hardest training camp in all of football. They knock each other's stuff in the dirt. Live periods on the goal line, live short yardage. He wears those guys out. If you ever notice with Kansas City, they usually peak towards the end of the year because he knocks the crap out of them in cramp. And then in the beginning of the season, a lot of times these guys are trying to find their legs for the first quarter of the season. And then as he brings them back and brings them to life, they find a way to still win. And then all of a sudden, now they're here at the Super Bowl. Now they're hitting their stride. They're their strongest right now. Does Dallas do that?
Not in a long time.
Yeah.
Now, hey, weren't you running one of these teams? I mean,
Right,
people know you. You are damn good in the media side.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, folks, he's even better as a personnel man.
Well, it comes out on the media side.
That is a man a lot of people respect, and for the life of me, I never can figure it out.
Look, I'll tell you what, the past 2 places that I've interviewed, you know what the number one reason why I was told that I wasn't hired is because they're like, well, you haven't been in the league for 10 years, 11 years. And I'm sitting there going, and my retort to that is this. I know more football now because I've been out of the league than I would have if I was in there, because I go around the country,
right?
And you're having all these production calls,
games too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so I get all that intel, and I'm literally sitting there talking to coaches now about X's O's in a way that I could never have done if I was in a personnel department. I would never be able to pick the brain of John Harbaugh and then go talk to Jim Harbaugh and then talk to Kyle Shanahan and then talk to Dabo Sweeney and then talk to James Franklin and team building, locker room chemistry, position changes, how you attack. But when you tell people this, it's kind of like the NFL sometimes is a victim of its own groupthink.
Sure.
Right? And there aren't many people who really want to step outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when search firms get involved and or teams are calling, like the guys who I work with, they're calling Schefter or the late great Chris Mortensen, who I love to death. Like they listen to that kind of stuff, Brian, instead of really going, does this guy know ball? Could he really build a football team?
That's what
could
I'm
he
saying about
could
you.
he pick a coach?
Yeah.
And but you know what I've done? I've kind of I swear to you, I've kind of made peace with it, only because it really does affect you when you don't.
It hurts.
When
man.
you don't
it hurts.
Like my family would tell you, Dad's not fun to be around when this time of year comes up.
I was going to ask you. I hate this time of year.
It's a grind. It's
Yeah.
a grind on you mentally and stuff. And I have a great life, right? We make plenty of money. We get to talk to everyone. I get to learn a bunch of football, cover the draft, cover the Super Bowl, call big-time college games. But if I never do it, I will say it will always bother me.
Yeah.
It will always bother me. Could I have done that?
What if?
Yeah.
Could I have done that?
Yeah.
And you know what? That sucks, to be honest with you, but it is what it is.
Well, you are killing it on TV, and we don't want to give you PTSD, but Emmitt's about to walk up, actually.
How about,
I
saw him earlier, man. How about that dude, man?
Yeah.
I met Emmitt when I was a sophomore in college. The Fiesta Bowl used to have this underclass, and they called it the Samaritan All-American team. Guys who were great off the field, blah, blah, blah. So I met him down in Phoenix when we were sophomores. Emmitt and I were on the same USA Today high school All-American team. He was the player of the year.
Sweet.
Galen Hall tried to recruit me to Florida, and I said, "Are you recruiting?" And Galen wanted me to play running back.
Not enough.
And you know what he said? He was like, he goes, "I think you can play running back for us." I said, "Well, who else are you recruiting?" He goes, "Well, this is a Smith guy from Escambia down in Pensacola." I'm like, "You think I'm stupid?" I know who that guy is. You think I'm going to come down there and play running back when you're recruiting this dude?
Great story, Louis.
Yeah.
We got to run. So do you. Thank you so much. Congrats on all your success.
Of course. Thanks a lot for having me.